Well, that went well, didn't it? Welcome everyone and welcome to today's video. And today we are going to be discussing Daytona 24, or as many people are now referring it to, Delaytona, Daytono, or the 44 Hours of Daytona, because it did not get off to a good start. Well, it didn't get off to a start for over 4 hours after it was supposed to, due to some technical issues at iRacing, and yeah, it caused a big furore within the sim racing community, and safe to say, a lot of people weren't happy. So we're going to discuss why that exactly was, and some other things that always pop up and are highlighted within a 24-hour race. So lo and behold, let's head into it. So let's start off with what actually caused this issue. So first things first, Daytona 24 is the first special event of the calendar year within iRacing. It has been now for the last couple of years, and it has seen its fair share of technical issues. Being the first event of the year, I think iRacing always underestimates the amount of participants they're going to get. But this year was different because, as we all know, we've been in a pandemic for the last year, and with many countries going into national lockdowns, sim racing has seen an exponential boom, which has been great for the community as a whole because it's become a bit more mainstream. Real F1 drivers, real high profile drivers have come onto the platform, iRacing in particular. So they've massively benefited from the pandemic, and Daytona 24, being the first special event of the year, was always personally going to get a very high amount of participants. And it seems to be that iRacing didn't expect or didn't assume they were going to get as many as they did, because they got a record amount of entries for one special event, over 7,000 people. That is absolutely brilliant. On one front, that is absolutely brilliant, but for iRacing's technical team, not so much, it seems. So contrary to what a lot of people believe and were branding out, it wasn't actually a server issue. It was to do with the scheduler that assigns people to a server. So what happens in a normal official race, of course we have different splits, but that is a nice simple process. It is done from highest I rating to lowest I rating, and you are designated to a split. In most cases, normal races are 400, 500 participants at the top end when a VRS sprint race or an IMSA race is a popular track. And the scheduler has no issue dealing with that at all. But 7,000 participants, or over 7,000, is another step up. Now, not only this, it had the added extra difficulty of assigning teams with an average I rating. Now, within endurance races, you are assigned a split based on the average I rating of your team. Now, not all teams are made up of the same amount of drivers. There are varying different drivers within teams. So some are formed up of 2, some are formed up of 3, 4, 5, even 6. And this causes an extra difficulty in, I'm assuming, the process of assigning people to different servers and the calculations of the average I rating. Now, with over 7,000 participants, I know I keep saying it, but it's a large figure. The scheduler clearly had an issue with this and just couldn't compute. I don't know the technical reasons behind that. Maybe iRacing will enlighten us one day and give us the specifics, but it clearly had an issue, and this is where the issue lied. So it wasn't the servers or not having enough servers, it was just not being able to assign teams to a server. Really unfortunate there, but it's something that iRacing should have envisaged and should have predicted was going to happen. Now, Daytona is no different in this regard. It's a special event. How have iRacing not foreseen that they were going to get a record amount of drivers, a record amount of participants? There was so much chatter online as well within the sim racing community that they was really looking forward to Daytona 24. And not only that, surely they've got their own figures of the amount of people that have been joining the practice sessions, who have been competing in IMSA this week. There have been a record amount of splits, I think, within IMSA leading up to obviously Daytona 24, because people were using it as practice for the special event, as well as the membership figures that have increased over the last year. Surely gathering all this information together, you would put two and two together, and common sense would mean that, do you know what, we need to make sure this goes along without hitch, which unfortunately it didn't. And it seems to be that their scheduler just couldn't cope. Now, I don't know, to me it seems like this happens all too often within companies, as I've said. And why do they not set a higher ceiling? Why do they not set their servers or their schedulers and so forth? Why do they not set it to be able to cope with a percentage over what they expect? Why did they not allow and be prepared for 10,000 participants, 12,000, even double than what they've got, 14, 15,000? They may not get anywhere near, but they should hopefully have less issues and less server issues and less scheduler issues. As I said, this scheduler issue may be nothing to do with the amount of participants that it had. It may be something that is totally wide of the mark of what I'm going on about right now, but it's just an assumption and something that happens all too often within the industry. And Daytona has seen its issues in the past as well as a special event. And it seems to be a pattern is kind of emerging where issues are arising from them not expecting the entries that they are getting. So you'd like to think that they would have clocked on by now. Unfortunately, as well as this whole issue of not being able to get within the servers and have the session start was compounded by the poor lack of communication. There's no other way to say it. Most people were discussing this on Twitter. There was so much chatter on Twitter. There was some within the forums, but most of the detailed explanations were posted within the forums. Yet very few people were there looking at the forums. I know some of you will say, I was there, yes, but the majority of people were flicking through Twitter. They was on other people's streams trying to find out what was happening. And it was only a couple of hours later that really they got the hint and started to post regular updates via Twitter. Still not quite as regular as they should have been. I think within the first couple of hours there was only 3 updates. And look, a 24-hour event, it may seem quite pretentious of me, but people put a lot of time aside for a 24-hour event, and rightly so. A lot of people were pissed. They pay for a service that is not performing. All they're asking for is one event of the year for it to perform well, an event that people have had to put time aside from their families, and not everyone in the world is got a national lockdown, so other plans for a 24-hour event, and they royally screwed up. Now, thankfully, they were able to sort the issue out, and it has started, or it did start, 4 hours after it was due to, but a lot of the damage had been done. Now, iRacing have offered a $5 credit to everyone who signed up for the race. So if you take it as 7,000 participants, that is 5 times 7,000, $35,000 that they have just given out to everyone within iRacing, or everyone who signed up for the race. Now, there'll be people who are cynical out there saying, well, that's money that they're going to get back anyway. But it's credit that they didn't have to give. They could quite rightly have said, the issue is now fixed and we're not giving you anything for the inconvenience, which many companies have done before. But that was a nice little touch from iRacing, and I do have to kind of tip my cap to them there. iRacing also has my sympathies. Now, people will be saying, Scott, what are you going on about? They royally effed up. Well, yeah, they did. But No one wanted this to happen. No one at iRacing wanted this race to have the issues that it's had. That's just not how things work. And if you think that that is the case, then I'm sorry, I completely have to disagree with you there. Should they have been more prepared, and should this have happened? Yes, they should have been more prepared, and no, it shouldn't have happened. The race should have gone off without a hitch. But unfortunately, it's happened, and hopefully they learn from it moving forward, and the next one goes as planned, and doesn't have any issues whatsoever. Communication, they definitely should have kept us more in the loop. Even 15-minute intervals, I think, would have been good. Not just on the forums, but regularly on Twitter, where the majority of the chatter was. And that would have put a lot of people's minds at ease. Even if they just said, we're still investigating, our guys are looking into it. People are kept in the loop, and people know what's happening. When you basically have dead silence for an hour, people are going to panic, and people are going to get annoyed, and rightly so. I would as well. So hopefully, moving forward, even if they are running around behind the scenes trying to get it sorted, they have someone who is dedicated to the communication side of things and keeps the users informed. Even if nothing has changed in regards to their investigations, just keep people informed, saying we're still investigating such and such until they know more info. Because in that way, people are happy to be kept in the loop then, and aren't left in the dark.
Why do you accelerate?
How sad was that? Literally shedding a tear. So that clip you've just seen there is Dan Suzuki. I'm sure lots of you are familiar with Dan. He has a great YouTube channel, streams, and is a very good driver too. Now, he was part of the WTF1 team with Tony Kanan, alongside Dave Sampson, another YouTuber, and a couple of other high-profile drivers. And their race ended very prematurely. As you can see, it was down to a very poor decision from an LMP2 driver. I know people are going to go, oh, another LMP2 driver. Yes, unfortunately, even though I am one, they do get a bad rep for obvious reasons. And this was just poor racecraft here, coming back onto the racing line. And unfortunately, the 24-hour races highlight and seem to bring out the poor driving standards. And they're highlighted even more in a 24-hour race, because people that go out early on, of course, are rightly pissed. It's a 24-hour race, and people are still sending it on the first corner of the first minute of a 24-hour race, and just don't seem to learn. There is no patience and no racecraft whatsoever. I just don't get it, guys. I just don't get it. We're all here for enjoyment. We all want to finish as high as possible. Of course we do. We all want to win. But do you want to ruin someone else's race in the meantime? Some people out there will say yes, they do, because they're spiteful. But I'm not, and many people aren't. They're competing in these races for the enjoyment and for the experience, and to have a good battle. And for people to get impatient like that guy did there, going straight back onto the racing line, whereas he should have just sat still or reversed back up out of the racing line, then pull straight back onto it. It just ruins other people's races. Now, I don't know if that individual, their car was able to finish the race. More than likely they were. because that's how it happens most of the time. The people that cause the accidents are able to continue as they were, and people that get caught up in it, their race ends, just like down there. So something needs to be done. Unfortunately, it's an ongoing discussion. Poor driving standards. For anyone who doesn't know me personally, I race in Formula 3, where it is a constant discussion within the forums and just within comments of videos. Because obviously with the damage model that has, poor driving standards are highlighted exponentially because your race is over regardless of a tap or a nudge and a crash, whereas GT cars, you can be a little bit more fortunate. But something needs to be done. I think iRacing needs to become a little bit more stringent with their protest system, because I think too many people get away with consistent poor driving standards. There we go, guys. That was a discussion on the Daytona 24, or Delaytona, Daytono, however you'd like to refer to it now. I'm sure the memes will stick around for years to come now, every time this event comes around. But hopefully iRacing have learnt from their mistakes. They increase that ceiling, that threshold of their capabilities, and we just don't ever have this issue again. Of course, all eyes will be on the next special event. I'm not sure when that is. Although I did not compete in this Daytona 24, I am definitely looking forward to the next one, and hopefully it goes off without a hitch. But yeah, hopefully they've learned from their mistakes. If they don't, then of course there will be a lot of angry people, and I think iRacing will see a massive drop off in their participants moving forward, and even their membership. So there is a lot riding on the next special events, but hopefully, fingers crossed, it goes well. And I hope everyone who's watching this and competed in Daytona had an incident-free race. You came across some good driving standards and were able to have and enjoy your Daytona 24. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. Remember to hit the like and subscribe button, and I'll see you for the next one.